Hey, what's going on, Miles?
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. Yep.
That means the work begins, doesn't it?
Yep, pretty much.
I have some good news though, Brian.
Oh, what's the good news?
Well, there's this sale, the spring sale, and my first thought when I saw it was, oh no, no one tell Brian. But then I actually looked just before the show, and there's only 2 VR titles, so I think you should embrace the opportunity, Brian, and do a sale video because there's only two games on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's always a possibility. Maybe we could probably tackle it during today's show. We didn't exactly structure.
No, do a video. Do a video. It'll be good.
Oh yeah.
Just
make a video. I just do
30 seconds.
Just video. Just they take 5 seconds to make. Just make a video.
Yeah, they're easy.
Nothing. I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you, Miles, not AJ. Wow. Okay, sorry about that. I gotta tell you, Miles, that nothing more infuriating than publishing a review that you spent way too long working on, and then somebody goes, "Well, where's this review?" It's like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to warn people about Galaxy cards, and I was like, "Where's the last worker review?" Okay, well, you know what? I quit. I can't fucking do it. Yeah. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you how I celebrated my Friday, Miles. I deleted the Without Parole Facebook account.
What?
Slowly extracting myself from Facebook in everything that they stand for, in every single device that they sell. I'm eliminating Facebook in Meta from my life. Who fucking needs them, dude?
Dude, I like that. I'm actually in the process of backing up all my photos from Facebook to eventually delete it, but it's just such a long process. I mean, I should just pull the cord and just forget about it. But yeah, no, that's a bold move, and I respect it.
Bold.
Does the chat respect it? I guess we'll find out.
Chat doesn't care. They're going to be like, where's the last worker review? Let's do this. This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live. We film live every single... I don't know. There's so many ways. Monday, Wednesday, 2 Eyes Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole. We do this live for your viewing pleasure. 6 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube that you're probably watching right now. But if you can only hear our voices, it's very likely that you're listening to this on podcast services of your choice where we do this thing not so live, MP3 format. And you can listen. I love the dancing, Miles. It's really like the audio listeners are missing out on this visual tour de force.
I'm just going on Spotify. I'm on Spotify listening in. Yeah.
Do we have?
Can you tell that I've been in commercials?
Do we have more rhythm on Spotify? Because you're like kind of dancing to the beat, man. It's like I don't think anybody sitting in the chat here is like, all right, Miles. All right, Brian. Here we go. Here we go. Yes. 4-4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But you got to hype it up. The commercials always got to be hyped up. Like, yeah, with jazzy, we got rhythm. Yeah. We got swag.
Who could ask for anything more? We do it over there for your oral pleasure. My name is Brian Poffnish, right here, PSVR Without Parole, and to my right, this is correct. My right, your right, it's Miles Dyer from Miles Dyer Official and YouTube.com/Miles.
See, that is rhythm. Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian. Hey, GameCast.
It's gonna be the worst episode ever. I can feel it already.
No, oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, every one we do is always the worst. Yeah. It just constant downhill spiral because it's Friday, and you know every Friday is another week that has chiseled us away with entropy as we deal with life. It's yeah.
Mark Pringlesleaf in the chat says, "I dance to your reviews, Brian."
There we go. And Without Parole has awesome intro music. Indeed. All the shows have really cool intro music. So yeah.
Dude, now let's try in the game feline in the chat is, I mean, you should be screaming this from the fucking rooftops, man. It says, we had the best social media once. It was called MySpace, and we had songs on our pages. Dude, MySpace still undefeated, best social media platform ever. We didn't know how good we had it, and we all ran to Facebook, and that was stupid. We should never have done that.
You got to feature 4 songs, wasn't it? You had like your first one, didn't you? Then have a player with 4, or am I making that up?
I forget how it worked. I remember when you could first integrate music into it, like you had to go into like the HTML and actually add it that way. And then like they added that as a feature. I learned
the code because of MySpace.
yeah, for real.
I learned how to make text bold and not bold. And it was amazing.
And I learned how to make everybody who wasn't in my top 8 jealous that they weren't in my top 8.
That was it. So, oh yeah,
I was in your top 8 last week. What did I do? And I was like, well. You didn't let me borrow Sonic the Hedgehog.
As soon as you swap things around, it's like, why have you knocked me down one to a fictional character? It's like, yeah. Well,
yeah, everybody agrees.
That's the way it goes.
Nobody disagrees. I think that's the one thing we can all agree on here is that MySpace was awesome. Jeppy Condal with the $5 tip says I couldn't help but unsub to Yang Yi or Yang Ye. I don't know. I had to look
unsub.
I had to look him up to figure out who the fuck you were talking about. But in his most recent video, he's got millions of subscribers, so I'm sure he doesn't care if you've come or gone, Jeppy Condal. But his most recent video is about the PlayStation VR2 sales. And so
I used to watch him quite a lot from time to time. He's one of those YouTubers that I didn't subscribe to, and like I respected what he did, like just running a channel by himself and always getting in there with the scoops and stuff. And well, we're going to be talking about that today
for sure. Meow says Bloomberg, more like Moronberg. Am I right? Dan, the GameCast pajamas with the 10 quid says
the bars.
Says have a tip. Thank you, Dan. And of course,
the tip.
We got Professor Lilith with the $5 saying, come dance with us this Sunday. This week's Sunday multiplayer is SynthRiders, 2 p.m. Eastern. Klutz's welcome. So it has been decided. You guys don't forget to join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. That's where conversations like this happen 24/7. Also where Professor Lilith organizes the weekly multiplayer meetups. It's a great place just to get games going whenever you feel like it. But also it's nice to have an organized time where you go, oh, it's Sunday. Oh. So we're going to be playing games together in like an hour. That's cool. So SynthRiders this week, multiplayer is where it's at with this game. So thank you, Professor Lilith, for the reminder.
And a good thing about SynthRiders multiplayer is if the host has DLC content that they own and you don't own it, don't worry. You get to play it as well. So that's a really wonderful feature about it. So yeah, us who have the Gorillas DLC can lead the way, so everyone else can get to experience it if you haven't already.
That's how it works with Walkabout mini golf as well, Miles.
Nice.
Yeah, I know that you don't have a Quest, so when Walkabout finally makes it to PSVR2, this will be your first Walkabout experience. Yeah,
I'm really excited. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, like you're such a social person. Like you, I feel like a lot of the reasons you play video games is to be social, and I think that's a lot of the reason I play Walkabout. So I feel like it's going to be kind of a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it's the social elements of like, it's not always about being social during the gameplay. It's like the moments in between. And so, although on Walkabout, I understand you do take turns, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you're a ghost and you're all just doing the same course at once. Right. So like you will be like, I'm sure, mocking each other as they're taking the shot and trying to put them off, right? I'm sure that happens. I mean, you wouldn't do that. I'm sure you're a completely fair player.
I mean,
and wouldn't ever try and put someone off when they're going for that hole in one.
If you're Tiffany Tolman, then yeah, like I mean, the number of times I've seen her club waving in front of my face when it's my turn to putt. I mean, she talks a big game, right? She calls us cheaters all the time, but like the only real cheater in the group is her.
That's a real shame.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to note that down and keep that in mind for when it comes out.
It's a thing.
Thank you for doing that public service announcement.
Public service announcement. Don't trust Gamer Chick as far as you can throw her.
Although I have to say, Brian,
I played
Demeo with her on Sunday with Rhodey and my buddy Johnny, and it was the Let's Play, and we actually played the Rat King dungeon, which is the hardest one, and it took us it was a 3-hour stream.
Nice.
But we completed it, and none of us had completed it before, and I believe Tiff and Rhodey had played quite a bit together. Me and my friend Johnny had, so it was kind of nice to have these two duos teaming up and sharing strategies and things. And it got really close in the second dungeon. We almost died completely, but it was a really, really cool live stream. And I don't know, I thought Demeo would be a good time, but it was a really good time. And the boss, it was one of those moments where we were probably one turn away from being completely wiped out. So there was a lot of cheers when we finally completed it. But man, Demeo just is so good. The only issue I think I have with Demeo is the XP system. The only way you get XP is by completing each level. So, and there's sometimes where I think if you load a game and then you take on the boss and then you fail, you get no XP for the whole campaign. And yeah, it'd just be nice to have different ways of generating XP, even if it's just incremental, because there's a lot to grind. I think there's like 70 levels. But you get to unlock all sorts of great cosmetics and stuff, so that's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, definitely enjoying Demeo. Demeo should be one of those games that I review sooner rather than later, mostly because I have enough footage already for it, and my understanding for it's good enough where I'm like, yep, I can totally tell people that you need to buy this game. Definitely, I don't know what I would rate it, but I mean, it's like, I've never played it and been like, yep, this is an issue. This needs to be discussed. This needs to be fixed. No, man, it's like just one of those games that just feels perfect.
Well, one thing I when I was playing it a lot this week is Demeo is a game that I think would benefit from foveated rendering and like eye tracking, because I don't know if this might be one of those things of like you'll notice it now I've mentioned it, but I find that there are depending on how far you zoom into the map and out, sometimes it's crystal clear and you hold things up, and then if you're in certain distances, everything's like it's not really blurry, but it's not quite in focus. And so I just feel like if you had eye tracking where it knows where you're looking and it's kind of like that's how your eyesight works, right? Wherever you're looking, that's where you want to focus, and everything else is going to be a bit blurrier. Because there are sometimes I pick up objects and the figures, and they're not quite in focus, and I have to sort of zoom in and out to get it right. And it's a beautiful game. So again, it's like one of those things of like it's an amazing game to look at, but I just feel that when it comes to figures, and I was told by, I think it was Tiff O'Reilly, that on the Quest version that you can actually paint your figures. They have like a painting mode, which I hopefully will come to PSVR2.
I hadn't heard that.
I want to be able to paint.
Didn't know that. Yeah. I haven't had any problems with focus in the game at all, or detail or sharpness. Everything I've been looking at is sharp. I do wish they implemented eye tracking in terms of, one of the things that we talked about leading up to PSVR2's launch was one of the benefits of eye tracking could very well be that you'll stop picking up the wrong things, right? And sometimes when I go try to pick up the dice or the die in Demeo, I'll end up picking up a character or something else off of the playing field.
Right.
I'm like, I just wish it like knew, right? It's like, I would much prefer the eye tracking to be used for something like that. But again, minor quibbles in an otherwise fantastic game. Waleed is now a game cat, specifically a white tiger with the Canadian $5.50, says, I just started playing Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 on PSVR1. It was unplayable for me with controls and dark graphics. Saying on PSVR1, this is so good. I am bossing it. I don't know what bossing it means, but I think we get a good impression. Dark graphics. I mean, I guess a lot of people complained about the school, and a lot of people complained about the Move controllers too. So I guess I can see his point on both of those things. 3D Blu-ray Bunker says, hey, I know Brian's ultra busy, and I love and appreciate everything he does. Thanks, Blu-ray Bunker. But I loathe myself a bit for being impatient for his next Village play. Yeah, today didn't go as well as I expected it to. I really, really wanted to get a Let's Play out today. I didn't want it to be like weeks until part 5 came out for my Village streams, and a lot of shit happened today. I wasn't able to get it done. So hopefully soon. This weekend has also taken a strange turn as well. It didn't seem like I was going to be crazy busy, and now it seems like I'm fucking ridiculously crazy busy. But I do want to get a stream done soon, and I think a nice break from sitting here and editing endlessly would be playing Village for 2 or 3 hours. So you never know, 3D Blu-ray Bunker, when that could happen.
I did watch quite a lot of your last Let's Play, and I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. Not Sure Brando with the $5 tip says, just got home early and I'm enjoying the show vegging out at home instead of listening on my earpiece at work for a change. Well, now you get the visual delight, and you get to watch me make faces whenever Myles says something funny or that he thinks is funny. Yeah,
at least I find funny. If anyone else finds it's funny, it's a bonus. It's a wonderful bonus.
For real. All right, man. I think think that's enough. Probably time to start the show. Get now that we've gotten some comments and tips read.
Thank you for the tips, everyone.
Yeah, for real. Really appreciate it. Thanks for keeping the lights on, and especially thank you for allowing me to keep the lights super dim. Right, I don't have to blast the lights in here anymore. Yeah. Well, I guess this brings us to. I mean, we'll definitely talk about the last worker after we're done with this news story. But let's talk about this news story first, Miles. Bloomberg's at it again. I don't know if you know, but
always at it.
But yeah, there was a. I don't even really need to set this up. I say we just go full force and we read the article. And I'm not going to read the Bloomberg article, mostly because I think it's behind the paywall. But this one will do just fine. This is from Push Square. PSVR2 sales off to a slow start. New report claims. This is by Liam Croft. The subtitle says Bloomberg says less than 300,000 units sold. All right, so let me interact with this so I can read the rest of this to you guys. A new report from Takahashi Mochizuki, I get his name wrong every time, of Bloomberg claims sales of Sony's PSVR2 headset are off to a slow start, with around 270,000 units shipped to consumers since its late February 2023 launch. The data comes from research outlet IDC, with Francisco Geronimo of the company suggesting a price cut on the PSVR2 will be needed to avoid a complete disaster. Sony is yet to share any official PSVR2 sales data and has never made its sales projections public knowledge. The comments and report follow Sony having to officially deny claims made in two previous Mochizuki articles. The scribe suggests the platform holder was having trouble producing PS5 systems prior to its late 2020 launch, and then reported Sony had halved its PSVR2 sales estimates for the first quarter it spent on the market. Sony publicly denied both of these claims, even insisting there was enthusiasm from PlayStation fans for the upcoming PSVR2 launch. I think it's a decent place to stop here, Miles. What's your impression of everything that's being said here?
Well, my instant gut reaction was, oh, that's not good, because I remember right. The reports ages ago that they were ramping up production for 2 million for launch. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the best at maths, Brian, but, or as you say in the US, math, singular.
Do you pluralize it in the UK? You know what? Keep going. We don't need to, yeah.
Like Legos. You say Legos, we say Lego. It's all Lego, but you say Lego. So we can talk about plurals another time. But 2 million is a bit off from the under 300,000. However, on reflection, and I did look it up, I was thinking, how well did PSVR do at launch? And I found an article here where it was declared that Sony had sold more than 1 million PlayStation VR headsets in June of 2017, and it first launched in October 2016. So it was 8 months it took to sell 1 million. So let's just say it's 250,000 they've done at launch. Of course, launch is going to be when you see the most sales because of pre-orders and things like that. You know, also with the supply issues with PlayStation 5s, which are now selling like hotcakes, you know, selling like they're beating record after record every month. Right. You know, they've got plenty of months to keep selling them, and word of mouth's going to do well, simply because, as we've said, the main target audience was hardcore VR fans. We feel they haven't really marketed it to the mainstream much, and a Sony showcase might be a good way of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been talking about it for a long time, saying that. Sorry, as soon as I don't have a cat in my face, I'll be able to look at the screen again. We've been saying a long time, this has felt very much like a soft launch. Leading up to launch, we were waiting for Sony to really like kick things into high gear and like, you know, like marketing hype, push it, right? And just be like when is that going to happen? And it kind of never happened. And so, and then on top of that, here, let's get this fucking screen out of the way. And then on top of that, we got, a lot of territories were only able to order it through Sony themselves. And so for when you can't just walk into a Target or a Walmart or a Best Buy or GameStop, right? And just see it sitting there on the wall and engage in conversation with a salesperson there and say, hey, you know, what's been the reception of this thing so far? Like, what's the deal? That it just keeps that conversation from ever happening, and it also like keeps sales really low, right? If you see, oh, somebody online is jumping up and down saying how great PSVR2 is, you head out to your local store and it's not there. And you're like, well, fuck, this is weird. You go on to Amazon, it's not there. You're like, fuck, this is weird. I don't think anybody's first response is to go to PlayStation.com and then find the link to direct.PlayStation.com and then see that they can order it direct from PlayStation. Like, I've been buying PlayStation shit for more than half of my life, like 25 years. And I've almost never bought anything from PlayStation. Like, this is probably the first thing I've ever bought from them directly. So like, there's no one out there is thinking, well, this is obviously the way to go about buying one of these things. So this feels so much like a soft launch to me. And this of course, the conversation we're having right now, Myles, is assuming that these projections, that these rumors are accurate. And there's no one out there saying that this is accurate. Right. In fact, this guy, the author of this article, not the Push Square article, the Bloomberg article, has been proven wrong many, many times. Right. And then he's using like an analyst group that, like, well, where are you getting your data? Where are you getting your data from? Right. Because I've got data. I've got data that says it sold way more than that.
Although, to be fair, sometimes it isn't that he's been proven wrong. It's Sony have come out and they've said this isn't correct, which, you know, I want to say I believe Sony, but that's just the usual play between journalists and corporations. But there have been some occasions where it's been highly questionable. At the end of the day, they have to do sort of, you know, they have to use analysts to look at trends and that to make estimates. And at the end of the day, that's how it should be treated. Yes, there are going to be people that are going, PSVR2 is a failure, you know, because of these stats. For me, it's just an interesting ballpark figure because I'm trying to think when we'll actually hear actual figures, and I'm thinking the best chance is probably when they have the sort of the financial reports they do with the board. But even then, they don't necessarily give actual figures. They'll just give a sense of where, you know, supply is going well and things like that. But I think it's an interesting conversation in the sense of, let's just say it is. I mean, we'd agree if it was 250,000, we would describe it as low as 250,000. Like, it's a low figure, right?
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah.
Because if it took PlayStation VR 1, and I know that we need to remember that we're 6 years from the launch of PSVR 1, right? So like a lot of things have changed. Like the interest in VR is higher than ever. So
yeah.
This isn't a one-to-one comparison by any stretch of the imagination, but if PSVR 1 took October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 8 months to reach 1 million units, like then we're doing okay, right? Now we don't want a repeat of the PSVR 1 generation by any stretch of the imagination. We want it to be bigger and better than that. We want the install base to be much higher. We want the adoption rate. We want the number of people who have a PlayStation 5 to be like kind of similar to the number of people who own a PSVR 2. People who are like, hey, you know what? This is an essential accessory if you have a PlayStation 5. And I don't think that we're going to be there anytime soon. But even best case scenario, man, like if PSVR 2 had sold 1 million units, like over the first month, like they had this all seems, the numbers seem bad because we're comparing it to some figure that Sony themselves haven't stated. Right. And so Sony themselves, like this same guy was saying that like Sony was projecting 2 million units sold in the first month or so, which would be an extremely high number. It would be an extremely high number, right?
Yep.
And so,
which is why basing it on how did the PSVR is a better benchmark. I'm not saying it's ideal because, as you say, it was a different environment. You know, VR was a new quantity. It was untested. But this time we have more supply issues with the bottleneck, which is PS5. there's going to be a lot of people that, you know, are VR fans, but they were just waiting a month. They thought, I'm not going to get it at launch because maybe I'm, you know, a bit tight on cash, but I'll put some more money aside each month and get it in a month or 2 months. So it'll be interesting to just see the momentum. Obviously, we're not going to be able to track the figures, but kind of how the conversation goes with games that get launched. What are the next big titles that come out for VR? Because the ones that got announced at the State of Play, I think, yep, great.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be system sellers for not, you know, people that haven't jumped into PSVR2 yet. Because for that, you need, as we say again and again, Brian, we need the big, well-known IP. Yeah. Do you like running raids in Destiny 2? Well, how would you like to actually be a Guardian, you know, in VR? Like that is the push, right?
Sure.
So, and it's early days, super early days.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of doom and gloom. Actually, you know
what about PSVR2? We've had none of that from the mainstream press,
right?
You know what I mean,
dude? About VR in general, right? Like this is like like that. That's the problem, man. It's fucking old hat. Like we're all real, and this put me in such a bad mood today because I'm fucking tired of it, man. I'm so tired of like mainstream media, fucking games, quote unquote journalism, constantly trying to push VR down. Right? They've been trying to do it since its inception. Been like, oh yeah, it's a fad, it's a gimmick, it's a whatever, and we've been seeing it constantly. And so anybody who doesn't want to cover VR is just like, yeah, it was whatever. We didn't expect this to be anything, right? It's like I was watching unnamed YouTube channels last night, right? Because I'm so fucking tired of like calling people out for their nonsense. But so I'm just not going to say the name of them, but
I see.
But
they weren't actually unnamed channels.
Yeah, which would be really strange. It's like, how did you show up in my recommended feed? You don't even have a name.
It's a conspiracy. Right? Yeah.
But I was watching unnamed YouTube channels last night, and it was like, and they were covering this article, right? Or they were covering this Bloomberg report, and they were treating it like fact. Which, first of all, fucking stop it, right? And second of all, being like, fucking told you so. Fucking told you PSVR2 was going to be a failure. DOA told you. Who would have suspected? Guess what? If you keep saying it with like it's the problem is people who don't give a fuck about VR are the ones, unfortunately, that are keeping their audience from giving a fuck about VR. Right? And so it's like the people talk about echo chambers, and it's so strange that you can have giant echo chambers as big as IGN or other unnamed YouTube channels that like have this echo chamber of VR is a gimmick. VR, I just don't really want to play it. Oh, it doesn't really have any games, and all it does is just keep people from like even fucking trying it, right? And so articles like this, whether it's true or false, whether it's based in any kind of reality whatsoever, are just giving ammo. I'm practically reading Josh's tip right now. It's just giving ammo to people who are like, who are either like, you know, all about, oh, Quest Pro is where the future is, or Quest 2 is like, this isn't any better than Quest 2, or right. So like the whole fanboy wars, or you're giving ammo to people who are like just not interested in VR in the first place, right? And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if all these different sites and all these different YouTube channels continually fucking trash PSVR2 for no reason whatsoever, then they could like cause its demise. And I feel like they've been sort of, you know, like hammering in these coffin nails for a year now, like ever since it was announced, maybe 2 years. And so, you know, and so now they're just fucking patting themselves on the back and being like, told you so. I was like, it's your fault to begin with. I'm angry, Miles. I'm angry.
No, I was letting you carry on because there's a very much agree with your sentiment, and I think that for me it's an opportunity on two fronts. It's an opportunity because we are the positive alternative of why this rocks, and it's why we've got an amazing community, and why more and more people will, if I dare use the term, flock to us and be a part of this awesome community. But I also think it's an opportunity to I just feel we need to get kind of, when it comes to politics, and like we need to get this alternative voice on all these mainstream media outlets, get on the panels and that on CNN or whatever it is, Fox News. In this, it's like we need to get you on Kind of Funny, we need to get you on Podcast Beyond, We need to get you on there so you can just turn up with a hammer, a gavel, and be like, right, let me tell you the real deal about PSVR2. Let me open your eyes.
There's a bunch of tips that I want to get to, so I'm just making sure I don't miss any here before we continue on. Yeah, man. I mean, I do feel proud that we get to be out here and like, give the other side of the story. Like, the fact that like that this isn't really a story, right? Again, if it was based on actual numbers, actual facts, instead of like some analyst being like, well, we suspect based on our fucking imaginary algorithm that like, blah, 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 this probably isn't doing very well. It's like, that's the thing. It's like Starlight, the intergalactic game cat in the chat with the €5 says others have corroborated this article, but corroborated what? Like there's nothing to corroborate, right? It's like it's an analyst group, doesn't have any facts, and has not always been right. And the article, fucking the author of the article has also had issues. Starlight goes on and said, honestly, whatever. We will get official numbers next month. The real metric will be after the holiday season, which I totally agree with. This is about as soft launch as I've ever seen of anything. And it just seems absolutely ridiculous that anybody is saying that it's a failure right now, right? Because it launched in February, right? We haven't seen a holiday season, despite the fact that it launched with like 3 AAA games. People are still waiting for a Half-Life Alyx announcement or more game announcements. Like, so let's give it a fucking minute here, like right before we start spouting doom and gloom. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. Josh Cat with the $5 tip says the issue that I have with the Bloomberg article is that it lacks in real data and facts. Then it gives ammo to people with anti-Sony agenda. # misinformation. Yeah, exactly, Josh. He wrote that long before I said it, by the way. So, Dragoon's Eye 76 with the $2 tip says Bloomberg said the exact same thing about Nintendo. Yeah, dude. The same dude was like saying, he was the one saying that. Wasn't there? He was the one saying Switch Pro over and over and over again. Right? Switch Pro is going to be released this, whatever. And it's like, no, man, didn't fucking happen. So moving on. Dragoon's Eye 76 $2 tip says back in the 80s I was there. I wonder what that means.
I was in the 80s as well.
Probably the dawn of VR and like those mall kiosks and stuff. Stupid Donkey with the $5 tip says pretty obvious Mario doesn't want Sony saving the princess with VR. She's in another castle anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea of people just being able to say whatever the fuck they want and then saying, well, why doesn't Sony refute this? Right? It's like, well, that shouldn't be the response. Why doesn't Sony refute it? Like, because here's what's going to happen. If Sony says, oh no, actually sales were really great, right? People are like, well, of course Sony's going to say that. There's no winning here, right? The negativity will always win out over the positivity. It's the internet and it's people, it's humanity. This is how shit works. So the negative articles will always get the clicks. The negative videos will always get the clicks. And that will be the truth, whether it's accurate or not. Yeah, so in the second Sony says anything, people will hear whatever the fuck they want to hear. Because the last time they refuted it, people heard exactly what the fuck they wanted to hear. They didn't hear a message that was refuting the original statement. They just heard, well, they didn't exactly say no, they fucking refuted the statement, and that wasn't good enough for anybody. So guess what? It's not going to be good enough for anybody this time either, right? So whoever's behind all of this, I'm getting real conspiracy theorist like Myles. Because there's obviously people behind this, right? There are people who are trying to like paint PlayStation VR2 in a negative light, and they've been doing it for a long fucking time, and they've got a lot of people who are willing to help them out. So, I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to think too hard about who would like PlayStation VR2 to fail.
Jim Ryan. I mean,
it's obviously Jim Ryan. It's a good answer.
That'd be an awesome villain arc, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It would be. I don't know.
He takes off his mask, his face, and it's Mario. It's a me.
God. Let's read some tips. We've got Belrami of the Game Cat with the 6 euros says IGN did a good job on some PSVR2 reviews, though. Got to give them a little credit. It's true.
Ryan McCaffrey on GT7, one of the best previews I saw of anyone, because he was a guy that had already pre-ordered PSVR2. He was curious. He was a car lover, and he just gave. It was like one of his most inconcise reviews in the sense of it wasn't scripted. It was off the cuff. He was umming and ahhing and processing his thoughts, and that for me was like one of the best first impressions, because it is that sense of you're seeing in real time someone trying to comprehend what they've just experienced. And yeah, it was a really, really good one.
Double M Gaming with the $5 tip says they need to look at numbers from the PSVR 1 launch and this launch to date. PSVR 2 almost tripled sales from PSVR 1. I've been in debate mode on Twitter all day. It's like, I feel bad for you, Double M Gaming, because like I've given up on that fight. I've given up on fighting on Twitter. I've given up on fighting on Reddit. I've given up on fighting online in general, right? Like I've got this little bubble that I get to exist in, and thank fucking God for that, because I am not interested in telling people to open their fucking eyes anymore and realize that it's that again. The only reason we're seeing these articles is for clicks, and who knows why else? I just don't want to. I'm so tired of the fanboy wars that I just can't engage in it anymore, man. It's just exhausting, right? Life is exhausting enough, right? We're talking on Discord voice chat today. It's like we're all fucking gamers, dude. It's like the fact that we're all gamers, and then to somehow like we have to separate ourselves into like the Xbox and the Sony ponies and the whatever else, right? And then the PC master race. And then we got, and now there's this whole new group of people who are like loving VR and think it's the greatest thing ever. But you know what?
Right.
You don't fucking try to say you enjoy something online, Miles, or the very first thing you'll hear isn't somebody being happy for you. It's the person who's like, well, that's a fucking fad and it'll be over next year and PSVR 2 is going to be a fucking failure. And see the Bloomberg article? Of course it's what's going to happen. It's like, it's just how shit goes. And people are unable to be happy for anyone else. They've got to fucking beat them down whenever possible.
I was actually talking earlier with a friend about the movie industry, and Kevin Feige, who runs Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, he mentioned once how, what do you make of like DC movies? DC's different to Marvel, for those that aren't familiar with the movie space and comic books. So when a Batman movie comes out, what are your feelings on that? And Kevin Feige's like, yeah, I want people to have a good time going to see a Batman movie, because because the mainstream, if they go to a Batman movie and they have a really good time, they don't go away and go necessarily, oh, I need to go see more DC movies. They go, that was a good time in the cinema, in the movies, had a good time watching a superhero movie, I'll watch more of them, which will also include Marvel. And that's how I feel about VR, which is I'm not, I am precious about PSVR 2. It's my chosen platform, but I don't have ill will towards other platforms. And if there are great titles or experiences on them, I want to know about them, because, the more that VR succeeds across all platforms, us as consumers of VR, we're going to benefit more, because it creates competition, it creates innovation. A lot of people, echoing your thoughts, Brian, about how exhausting it is with negativity.
Yeah,
and that's why I generally don't really engage with it unless there's something to be refuted, because putting positivity out there is just so much more rewarding, and it feels better. But you are making me think I might start a new YouTube channel. I'll draw a little moustache on my finger and then just be like, oh yeah, PSVR 2 is going to fail.
I mean, it'll certainly be more popular than whatever the fuck we're doing over here. Right. Nihilist Ryan, the game feeling with the $5 tips, says, I think maybe a lot of people are waiting to see what the Quest 3 is going to be like. Once they realize that it's not much better than the Quest 2, they'll come over. I sadly don't think so. I saw people defending the Quest 3, Quest Pro as a gaming platform when it clearly was not intended to be one, right? And so I don't think we're going to.
There were a lot of Quest. There were a lot of content creators in the VR space that are normally Quest who were like all on board with PSVR 2 and were like, this is the go-to one now. And those were the people that I respected most, not because that they chose PSVR2, but it was that sense of, it would have been very easy just to sort of talk about, PSVR2 is great for all these reasons, but I'm going to stick with this. It was like, no, this is the one to go for. And I think there will be a lot of Quest players that are waiting for 3 just to be like, let's just see what their response is.
Sure.
And then after that comes out, they might go, okay. And PSVR2 has been out for a while now. This is the list of games. This is what I'm going to go for. Because also, actually, it's not true. You can play Quest games without it being tethered to a PC. But obviously, if you want high fidelity, you do. So for them who don't own a console, that is another thing you have to consider. Is for people jumping in. If you've never bought a PS5 before, it's a massive investment.
It's a massive investment. But here you are. Here's the console that you're gonna need for the next 7 years, right? That's it. It's one purchase, $600, done, or $500 without a disc drive. I don't fucking know what this goes for anymore. And so compared to like a PC, it's nothing, right? It's half of what you're gonna spend on a good PC. And plus, then you get games that are totally optimized for it, right? And then you look at the price of the PSVR2 headset. People keep listing problems that the PSVR2 has, right? It's like, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's perfect, right? But like, I don't think price is the problem. I don't think because of what we're getting for it. People are perceiving price to be a problem because, again, those same journalists and same YouTube channels were screaming about how expensive it's going to be and how it's going to fail because of that price. That's where that problem came from. That's where the price problem came from, not from the actual price, right? Yes, people would think way less about picking one up if it was $300, but it would also be way worse if it was $300, right? And we wouldn't be over here jumping up and down screaming about it nearly as much, right? Because we'd be getting inferior products. We'd be getting something that was like, it was like good, but not great. Snacks, please. The pizza. Oh my god. The game cat. Oh my god. My eyes are so gone. Oh, snacks, please. The game cat with just no fucking consonants. I like it. With a $2 tip says, yeah. Thank you, Brian. Preach. Thank you. Snacks, please. Rody the game cat. Army General with the $5 tip says, here's the question. Even if it's true, why assume 75,000 units of a niche product a week is a bad number? What are they measuring it against? And if they're measuring it against, I think it's a good question, Rody. Thanks for asking it. I think they're measuring it against the Quest, which again was a $300 headset that you could give to little Johnny and throw it under the tree and not really think twice about it, right? Sure, like that's if you compare apples to apples, right? Then yes, if the PSVR2 was a $300 headset, maybe you'd see a lot more under the tree, right? But at the same time, it's like it's got to be good enough for people to want to keep using it. And so that's the problem I see, because the Quest, it's been proven over and over that the Quest 2 does not have a lot of good engagement associated with it. The sales, the attach rate for games isn't very high. And once people have played a game or two on it, they kind of just put it down and let it collect dust. That's obviously not happening with PSVR 2, right? It's a better headset, and you're playing better games on it, better versions of every game. And so people aren't putting it down and putting it away and letting it collect dust. Like everybody I know in my little echo chamber, my little bubble, Miles, that's all PSVR 2 fans. So this is a horrible argument to make, but everyone I know is like, man, I've got so many games to play. Like, when am I going to find the time to play all these games?
Yeah.
And that's not a sentiment that I think Quest players are ever jumping up and down about.
So what you're saying, Brian, is we need to pull together, start a GoFundMe page and get little Johnny a PSVR 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Little Johnny doesn't need a headset.
Screw little Johnny.
Yeah.
He's a lost cause. Is that what we're saying? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Poor little Johnny.
Starlight, the Intergalactic Game Cat with the €5 says, as I said, the hardware sale debate can wait until next year. Until then, let's enjoy the greatest headset, and Sony bring us a nice showcase this summer. Well, so here's what I'm willing to say. Right. I think Sony has a lot of work to do. Right. Because the fact is like I think we all would have liked to see some really impressive sales figures for PSVR 2, even despite the soft launch. There's people out there who don't know this thing exists. We don't have a roadmap for the future. We don't know what games are coming. Sony hasn't done a showcase in like a year and a half. And so it's the fact that they sold any is kind of crazy. The fact that like anybody bought one is kind of crazy, but now they need to start selling this thing. right? If there were certainly some problems at launch, and they're working these things out, and so maybe a soft launch wasn't the worst idea, right? I've already had my Sense controllers update the firmware like 3 times. I've already had my the PSVR2 headset firmware update a couple times. There has been issues, people being like, why isn't this controller turned on? Why isn't this one charging? Why is this one charging? Right? There's been a lot of issues that needed to be sorted out, and I do think that we were the guinea pigs. But now it's time, or soon it will be time, obviously, to start announcing what else is happening, what other games are in development, who are your third-party partners that are making hybrid AAA games, what does the future of PSVR2 look like? Miles, I don't think a price drop is going to change anything other than make the headset look like a failure. I think that's exactly what a price drop would do. Be like, oh, this thing isn't fucking selling. We saw it with the Quest Pro, and we all kind of giggled a little bit when it dropped $400 or $500, whatever the fuck it was in the first 4 months. We're like, yeah, and there it is. There's your failure, right? It's all about optics. You drop the price a couple $100 or $150 on the PSVR2, and everybody goes, damn, that was a failure, huh? So you can't do that. That's not the answer. I'm angry, Miles. I feel like my brain's been all over the place since we started the show. I feel like I've just been
that's good, man.
Yelling stuff and been angry.
No.
My throat's sore.
I think many in the chat will find it very cathartic.
It certainly makes me feel better.
You know what would make me feel better, Brian? If everyone in the chat would just hit the like button. I saw some people asking people to do it. I really respect it because we've got 500 people tuned in right now, but only 138 of those people like the live stream, and that makes me sad. I want to be liked by more people.
You don't want to make Miles sad, do you? Do you? No, you don't.
If you don't like me, like Brian.
Oh, don't like me, dude. I'm the least likable person I know. The fact that anybody subscribes to this channel is fucking still a mystery to me. It's like very strange.
And dude, we are approaching the 100K. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We are on track for 100K, according to a Bloomberg report. Which is a disappointment. This channel's dead.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've been hearing that since 2017.
We're still awaiting comment from Brian, so it must be true.
Must be true, but Brian can't be trusted, man. It doesn't matter what he says. Hey, we both have been playing The Last Worker. That's our next topic. I'm just moving us right along out of this conversation.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it was a game that took me by surprise when you mentioned it, and I had the game key, and I went in completely blind to it. Just to sort of preface this for our conversation, I know this is the Last Worker review. You're going to have 2 types of reviews here because, Brian, you've played it all, correct? You've completed it, rolled credits?
Twice.
There are credits?
Yep.
Twice, wow, okay. Whereas I have played a couple of chapters. I played about an hour of it. And so mine are going to be more like initial impressions. I don't actually know what the duration of the game is, but yeah, that's kind of the 2 perspectives we've got. But my initial impressions are I'm having a good time, but I'm curious to see where it goes and what the trajectory is, because it could just all of a sudden, yeah, it's either going to become incredibly repetitive or it's going to. I feel like there's 2 ways it could go bad. One is it becomes incredibly repetitive, or it keeps shaking things up so much that I feel there's no real like core game identity, like mechanic identity. But I'm hoping that it will fall somewhere in the middle and it'll feel good because, yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. What were your thoughts going into it, Brian?
Man, I had all this footage for everybody. I guess I can just try to render it out again.
Oh, dude, I've been annoyed. Just this footage that you've shown, this one bit. I know the level. You drive past, you've got to grab a cardboard box off this little sort of robot hand. Every time I go past it, I can't grab it. just like always goes horribly wrong. Completely smooth there. I wonder how many takes it took for that trailer.
All right. While I'm waiting for this footage to render out, I think we're going to have to backpedal a little bit and talk to the chat and because their tips are from our last conversation, so this is probably a good place to pump the brakes anyway before we get fully invested in the last worker. Stupid Donkey with the $5 tip says VR needs to be accessible in store to try out. I only have so many friends I can show VR to, which is two, including myself. So he's got one friend.
We are the in-store displays. Yeah. Come to people's homes. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, you're not going to convince anybody that they should buy a VR headset if they haven't tried VR. And that's why I really think that, the Quest 2's popularity has been so good for VR, right? Because it got all those little Johnnies out there to put a VR headset on and they go, oh, this is really cool, right? And then they see something like Gran Turismo, or Village or something, or Horizon, go, oh, wow, that's what VR can be? That's cool. That's crazy. Let me look into that. So it gets the ball rolling for sure. Red Rover, the effing Game Cat with the $5 tips, and Joe Grover right over. My pass-through works to eat pizza. No need to remove the headset. Battery packs in arm straps to power my controllers. Is a catheter going too far? You guys are fucking crazy with your battery packs. I would be worried
about as you eat the pizza, the topping gets cut off the bottom of the headset. So as you eat it, you just eat in the bread, and then you take the headset off, and it's just like the cheese is all just where. What's happened to this topping? Oh, it's all there.
Pizza doesn't taste nearly as good in VR for some reason because it's all in your face. I think a catheter is not going too far. Let's just get that out of the way.
Adult diapers is a good shout for Resident Evil.
Luca, the Satanic Game Cat, with the $5 tip says, take comfort in the fact that it's only hardcore VR gamers that even know about the article. Little Johnny will still be excited for it. Yeah, it's true. I don't know.
I like this little Johnny guy. I don't know who he is, but he seems like a cool guy.
Sharko Kron in the chat says the last worker is like Portal, but a worker in a factory. I wish. I will tell you something about the last worker, Miles. I didn't play it twice because I wanted to. I played it twice because I was having a problem, man. I sat down to write my review and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this game. Like, there's a certain level of polish about it. Like the voiceovers are really good. They're done by professional actors, which I don't give a fuck about. I'm not a big fan of professional actors, but they're done well. So I was happy with that. The whole thing kind of set this like somber mood. The soundtrack was like, kind of dark and ominous and kind of stayed with the tone of the game. And everything has this like comic book look to it. And so I was like, it has this feel of a game that is like pretty good. And when you finish it, you go, I don't know if I really enjoyed what I just played. Like, I'm really happy that it's $20 and that it's on sale for $15 right now with the launch discount, because I feel like that's the right price. And then you can go in and experience it for yourself and figure out if this works for you. But I realized on my second playthrough, the only thing I really like about this game is the main character. His boring job of working at the Jungle factory, which is this game's equivalent of Amazon. His boring job at this warehouse is the only thing I really love about this game. Doing the boring, monotonous job that is supposed to kind of get you into Carl's shoes and to make you understand who he is as a character. It's the only thing I really enjoyed about it. And I couldn't believe that on my second playthrough. And I was like, oh yeah, because I like this. Because he's got like this hover forklift. And you're kind of zooming around the warehouse and you're picking up boxes off the shelf and you're like flipping them around and you're like, okay, is this ready to be shipped out? Oh no, the weight doesn't match or the size doesn't match or it's damaged and you have to pull out your little gun.
Yes.
And like, boom, you got to stick the right label on it and then boom, you zoom off and and then you send it out for recycling or relabeling. It's menial.
It's such a cool mechanic. It's really fun.
It is.
To the point that and again, I'm still early in the game, so that's my question about how much is that going to become a part of the game. For me, my first thought when I started playing it, other than I'm a terrible worker, I need to get better with my labeling, is that I would love it if there was a multiplayer version of this where you've got to race against friends to see who can do the most boxes in the amount of time. Like, I love the GPS system. You press R3 and you get the dots, and you can see where the shelf is, and you're looking all the way up or all the way down. Like, that part I was really, really impressed with. But yeah, my feelings about it is I'm curious to see where the story goes, but I don't know if it's going to be short-lived in that. And the impression I get from you is it probably is going to be.
Well, and that's, I don't want to see anyone else's review. This was the first time in a very, very, when I say a long time, I mean years, maybe 3 or 4 years, that before I put out a review, I wanted to talk to somebody about it, right? I wanted to talk to somebody who'd like played through the entire game. I still refuse to watch anyone else's review, because I don't want that impacting how I feel about the game. And I think that, and that's ultimately why I ended up playing a game the second time, because when I finished the first time, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is really weird. Why don't I have a point of view on this? I just couldn't quite figure it out. And so that's why I was like, well, no one else I know that has played it. And so I'm just gonna go play it again and kind of decipher like what the internal struggle is right now. In the internal,
how many hours is it, Brian?
5, start to finish. And I struggled, man. Like, there were moments that like there's some stealth sections in this game that like I just did over and over and over again until I was like, where the fuck is the right place to hide? Where am I supposed to go? Right? There was one, you get introduced to one object specifically, and you only really use it like during one segment, and it uses a mechanic that you only really use once. And I don't think the game described how to do that very well. And so for like 15 minutes, I was wandering around being like, how the fuck do I move this ball? How do I shoot this ball the way I'm supposed to? And so I guarantee you that if you're paying more attention to the instructions and all that shit, or you're better at stealth than I am, then maybe, here we go. Here's some footage. It finally finished rendering out. I was like, then you could probably get through this pretty easily in like 4 hours, 4.5.
I'm gonna be completing it this weekend for sure. I'm gonna be playing it tomorrow because I'm having a good time with it so far. Even though I have issues with it. I guess the question I would then ask is, and it might be an obvious and easy question to answer, is: are you glad this game exists?
I don't know, Miles. I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
It's a really strange place to be, I think, as far as games go. Like,
because it's not like it's different to Beneath Your Eyes. Like, that for me is an experience story.
Yeah.
Beyond Your Eyes. Yeah. Before Your Eyes. Yeah, like that is a much more of a narrative experience, or there are kind of mechanics in it. This is where it's a narrative, but it is a game as well, but it's not fully a game.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the spectrum of when it's a game and when it's just a narrative experience. It definitely leans into like, this is a game that you're playing right now, but again, without going into specifics, it's like there's an early level where you're racing, but it's kind of like, but you're not actually racing. It's still a narrative, isn't it? It's a sequence of events. It's like the outcome is always going to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I assume that's always going to be the case. There are ways that you can like sort of fail and then you have to like restart the chapter and stuff. But
nope.
Yeah. But then oh no.
Nope. It's all predetermined. And so you find yourself, this is really early on, you find yourself seeing yourself at a fail state where it says you lost the race, restart from the checkpoint, and you click the button. They're trying to Metal Gear Solid this thing. They're trying to Hideo Kojima their own game and be like, and it's not effective. Like they're not good at getting the point across that like that they're fucking with you, right? Instead, it just seems like, is this a bug, right? And like not in a good way, not in like when you finally get the reveal, you're like, oh, okay, well, that didn't feel especially well done, right? And then like there's other than the stealth segments, which again, it was take it or leave it. They were fine. There are puzzle elements, and most of the puzzle elements revolve around the same thing, right? There's a grid of 9. It's like a tic-tac-toe board. I want to say it's 3x3 or 4x4, something like that. Just like a board with all these different shapes on it. And you get these different attachments for your worker gun, and so you can hack these puzzles, and you see the solution on your screen, and all you have to do is match the puzzle pieces that you see in front of you to the ones that you see on your screen. I was like, that's not a puzzle. That's copying and pasting, right? And then eventually those things become timed. And it's like,
right.
So you took something that's really fucking boring and monotonous, and now you added a time limit to it. Like,
right. Things don't feel consequential, do they? And and that's kind of what you want in a game, is you want a reason to do something. There's like there's a way of succeeding the level, and there's a way of failing it, and a sense that you go, oh, I didn't get that, I'll do it again. Which is why the sort of the working mechanics of finding the boxes, are you sending them off or recycling them? I wish they leaned more into it. Again, might be later down the line, I assume from what you're telling me, it's not the case. But I'd love it if there were like leaderboards, online leaderboards, and again, like different like bonus challenges where you got to do it as quick as you can. Because it's one of those sort of games that if you do actually try and do it at speed, it does actually make it quite fun, because you're trying to do things quickly and on the go.
Yeah.
But it goes so close to that line of, well, it is just like, it's not really a game. It is a game, but kind of it doesn't matter, and things like that.
It's weird how happy I was whenever a specific gameplay story sequence would end, and then it would be the next day, and I'd be back at work.
Right.
And here I am again, like bringing packages from the shelf out to be delivered, and stamping them proper or not, whatever, sending them to the right place. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is supposed to be the boring part of the game. Right. And to me, it's the best part of the game. And it helps that they added collectibles. There's 110 different Amazon items that like are all in these packages, and you kind of collect them as you deliver them. And
can we? Do you think it's spoilery to say what the boxes are? Well, actually, I'd let people find out. Like, in terms of like,
I mean, there's one on the screen right now. There's a baby in a VR headset.
Right, but they're basically dreams, aren't they?
That's the word. That's the word that the Youngle CEO over the intercom keeps using, right? But they're not actual dreams, right? Yeah, he's trying to talk up the workers as if like we're not just delivering items, we're delivering dreams, right?
And I did love the scripting of the CEO, of like just the way they talk about the culture and things like that, of believing in it and being a part of this community. I'm just seeing the baby with the VR headset. I remember when getting that in the game, I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
everyone's saying in the chat that's disturbing.
It's true. It is disturbing, and the game tries to be. So, dude, when I saw the previews for this, when I saw the initial trailers, I saw the cartoon art style, right, which I actually really enjoy. I think it's really well done. I think it's got it looks really nice in the headset, especially.
Looks really clear. I was really impressed. But when you first look in the mirror, you can see it in that video footage, and I was like, the character was up there, and it was, it's cell shaded, it's cartoony, but it looks great.
Yeah. But I also saw robots or robot companions that float near you and talk endlessly and try to be edgy and funny.
You just don't like him because he's British.
Yeah. It's you know what? It's strangely less annoying in this game than it was in the other 100 VR games that this has existed in. Right? This is a problem, man. It's like developers need to find a different way to tell a story than have a floating robot companion in your face all the time. And this game does it so much. These are like pretty much the only characters you interact with, right? You've got this guy and you've got another one, and it's like just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And then Chris H in the chat is brought up the storyline, the overarching storyline, and the overarching storyline is it's very anti-capitalism, right? It's like definitely trying to get this point across that like capitalism is bad, right? Chris H is a fucktard, but the fact is the message in this game, it's just so overwhelming, dude. It's just like it hits you over the head so hard, right?
It's really on the nose. There's no subtlety to it.
No room for subtlety or interpretation or anything.
Right.
It's just like, dude, we get it. We get it. It's like, and they think they're so clever by calling this place Jungle, which is jungle, Amazon, right? It's like it's nothing about it feels clever, right? Like I don't care about.
I do like how you enter your work day. You have to with the hand do the sign.
Yeah. It's fucked up, but it's like, but that was like, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's one of those things that's a little bit more subtle, right?
Yeah.
Than the story itself.
What I mean. That's what I mean. Although a lot of it is on the nose, there is a lot of brilliant things in here. So like, I think there are a lot of really cool smaller touches, but yeah, there's a lot of definitely in your face. Brian, there's a massive tip that we need to get to.
I know.
Sorry, I couldn't ignore it.
Shout out to Owando Cat, Kiernando Cat with the 200 fucking euros, dude. He's always showing up to like like if I'm having a bad day, man, it's like it's hard to have a bad day when somebody shows this much appreciation, right? He goes, I tried 4 messages so far, all unpleasant about Bloomberg. Hope this one gets through. I'm going to go play Resident Evil 8 again because it's the best game on PSVR2 right now. RE4 Remake is likely going to be even better. I hope so, man. I really hope that when they finally start talking about Resident Evil 4 VR, that it's a game that like, I mean, the flat screen game's getting 10s out of 10s nonstop, right? It's like everywhere, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, which is fucking great.
You can do backflips in that game. I can't wait to see how you do that in VR. You've actually got a backflip.
Right. Roundhouse kicks, suplexes. I mean, it is, yeah. Leon's a very physical fighter.
I just have visions of people doing roundhouse kicks and like pulling the cable out on the console, just like tangling themselves up and just yanking their PS5 on the floor. Oh. Man.
Owando, sorry. Owando says he sent 4 messages prior to this one. And I've been on a rant tirade this entire episode, everything from yelling about Bloomberg to complaining about this game. Yeah. So I apologize for maybe not reading the chat as much as I try to normally. Nidogger, the easy to please game cat with the €5 says, thanks as always for your hard and honest work and all the best for all the best community in the world. Also hit the like button for fuck's sake. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Hit the like button.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's again, so I wish there was a little bit more subtlety in this because I feel like as the gamer, as the person experiencing the story, it's like if you could come to the conclusion yourself that that this is trying to tell you a story about why capitalism is bad, I'd be like, yeah, man, like of course it is, right? Like I'm fine with socialism. Let's do this shit. Like we're already halfway there. Like let's just fucking pull the trigger. But the game doesn't give you a chance to do that on your own. The game is just like we're just going to beat you over the head with this message constantly. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like I just feel like it doesn't give the player enough credit. Like, yeah,
it's linear storytelling in gaming is great, but when it's linear game mechanics where it's the non-consequential, is you're just going through the motions of like, we want you to do this, then this, then this. And there's not much variation within it. Yeah. I mean, this is like a really small example of it, but and I'm going to do like a positive and a negative. In VR, it's always about what you can do with your environment. a small positive thing was I stood up, I played in my chair. When I stood up, your character stands out of their chair. I thought that's a really cool small thing they didn't have to do. Normally it'd be you'd sort of like become disconnected from your body or something like that. That was really great. But then there's other times where you spawn in a scene. I think right at the very beginning, you've got like this small box in front of you and I'm trying to open it and I can't interact with it or anything. And then like 2 sentences left in the narration or whatever it is, I'm like, so what am I supposed to do? Oh, you're now meant to open the box. And there's no sort of like indication that your hand's going around the box and it's about to open it. I just click it and it does it. The platform vehicle you control, you have these gear sticks and you use them. But then I realized you don't even need to hold them. You just use the controls without holding them. Now, in one way, I'm like, actually, probably do prefer that. It would get a bit annoying. But then it's kind of like, I don't know. There's just a lot of small things here and there where I'm like, it kind of, they pick and choose when the VR interactivity is being used. And, you know, when you're on your trolley, you've got the mirror. It'd be nice if you could sort of push that away, or, you know, you've got like a photo on your left that's, you know, there's just like a lot of opportunities for interactivity that I think they missed the mark on. And again, in the cutscenes when stuff's happening, it'd be nice to be able to do stuff with the things around you. It's just, no, you're just sat here right now. Just watching things pass.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of fade to blacks.
There's a lot of fade to blacks.
There's a bit where you're in an elevator, like right near the start, and you're going up the floor, and then it literally fades to black, and then it fades back in. You're in the elevator, but you're now on the next floor, so it's clearly loading the next part. Just stuff like that is understandable, but in VR it completely kills the immersion because, you know, I'm in an elevator. I should be in an elevator without it fading to black and then bringing me back because it's now loaded the next part. These might sound like small things, but it's kind of like if the game is being limited in its linear gameplay functionality, then at least take advantage of all the other aspects of VR that could make it you know, feel more immersive and right with those other things.
Well, I will say I played a little bit of this on the flat screen because it's playable in or out of VR, and I don't I don't envy the people who are playing this on Switch right now, because I think half the fun of this game is what you are able to do. You know, you'll be able to grab the things in your chair, even though, like you said, it's not everything. But being able to grab your little gravity gun and just like point it out there and shoot it and flip things around with the analog stick and kind of like have that level of interaction, like feeling like you're actually there, I think is half of the reason I like this game. And if you've been listening to this conversation, the half of the reason I like this game is a small part of the stuff I like about this game. For the most part, I'm realizing that I don't like this game very much. But the thing that kind of kept me going was, you know, was the level of interactivity and the stuff that you could do and how you interacted with the things when you were supposed to. I like this. Like, this is the kind of stuff I enjoy about VR. This is, but so on the flat screen, I played it for like 5 minutes and I was like, who's going to play it this way? Like, this felt like it was designed for VR. So anybody on other platforms, I'm sorry. Anybody who has a PS5, I don't even know if this is on PS4. Man, just play with a headset, dude. Play with a headset. So.
And the developers, Wolf and Wood Interactive, wasn't it? And
Oifi is the other.
Oifi, yeah. So what other have they done? What other PSVR titles have they done?
So Wolf and Wood is pretty prolific. They've done Chair in a Room Greenwater. They've done Exorcist Legion VR. They've done Hotel R&R. So they've got, you know, a decent amount of diversity, and I think they know what makes a fun game. I think Oifi, and I could be wrong about this, is the writer and director of this game. So it's like his story that Wolf and Wood has created a game to tell. I think I have that right. I could be wrong. I don't think the team known as Oifi has made anything else. And I'm not sure if that consists of anybody other than the writer. I'll have to look further into that. So yeah, I just think that's the weird thing about this game, man. It feels polished in so many regards,
right?
And it feels fun to play in so many regards. And then it just
Yes.
I just feel like it falls off a cliff for me. The story starts ramping up and then doesn't go anywhere exciting. The ridiculous things that that the story brings, big moments in the game, just sort of come and go, almost like unnoticed. I was like, did you just said the thing you just said that was really big and we already moved on from it. I was like, that's not good storytelling, and like it does try to evoke an emotional reaction from the player, and they're not doing it successfully, right? So I just feel like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like this one was a hard one for me because when I first started playing it, 2 hours in, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I think everyone's gonna really like this. It was like 8.0 in my head, right? I was like, I think everyone's gonna really enjoy this. And the more I played, I was like, I don't know, maybe this is a 7.0. And then when I've replayed it today, I was like, this isn't even in the 7 range. Like we are getting down to like, the 5 or 6 range. I don't know where I'm going to fall on it, but
wow.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it, like, all these things you're mentioning are concerns I've had from playing it. Again, I'm only an hour in. The bits that I'm enjoying, I'm really enjoying, but I'm just like, we're just in the opening. I don't know. The kind of the again, finding the parcels and you having the different things you have to check, the weight or the size of them. I feel like
best part of the game, Miles. Best part of the game.
But my question is, all those things about checking the weight and if it's damaged and what size the box is. I think on the second day they add, like, there's a time stamp on it or there's a green thing. Do they keep adding throughout the game new things, or is that pretty much it from the beginning? Or do they keep adding new?
That's it.
That's what I mean. So that would have been interesting. As you go on, you start having even more, variables and features that you have to look out for. Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. What's funny is Wolf and Wood's also working on Sea Smash, which has had an interesting reception as well.
Yeah.
Like, pretty divisive overall, right? Like, people are having problems with it. Some people love the art style. Some people hate the art style. Some people think it's going to be a cool sport. Some people don't. An interesting situation, I'm sure, that Wolf and Wood finds themselves in right now. Developing 2 really divisive games. I don't even know if The Last Worker will be divisive. I'm very curious to see, like, once my review is done, I want to go out there and look around and see, because I have a strong feeling that everyone's like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. This is a good game. Yeah. It tells a good story.
Yeah.
Right. That's how the other reviews are going in my head right now. So I can't wait to, like, see, like, are other people having the same reaction to these boring puzzles and some frustrating stealth mechanics and frustrating everything mechanics? I'm very, very curious. Very curious.
Well, we'll be talking about it. Well, I'll talk to you about it tomorrow after I've finished it.
Nice. My review is definitely going to be done by the morning because I don't want to be sitting on this anymore or think about it anymore. Oh, look, I'm adjusting my my IPD in the gameplay footage. That's what happens when I render shit out in the middle of GAMESCAST. I don't know how to say your name. L393ND. Yeah, you got that?
And RY, yeah.
Landry? With the Canadian $15, says, we need Wipeout Omega Collection and Super Stardust VR remastered for PSVR2 right now. WD Walking Dead Chapter 2 is keeping me busy. If a third-party game looks this good already at launch, it can only get better. Yeah, it was really nice to see Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 looking as crisp and clear and sharp, and didn't have any draw distance problems, or not draw distance so much as just like resolution problems in the distance. Yeah, man, all PSVR2 games have looked really good for the most part, but in all sorts of different ways. I find that so interesting.
Yeah, and so many games. I was actually really glad this week you were talking about Townsman, because it was one of the first games I played with PSVR2, and I had a really good time with it. I did about 4 levels, and after seeing your conversation with AJ, it reminded me I need to jump back in, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, everybody in the chat saying legendary. I must have missed something.
That's the username, legendary. That's how it is.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Canadians spell words weird.
think he's a Canadian. I think he's a Canadian robot.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Hey Miles, we didn't plan 20 questions because we're not good at this.
I've got a game.
You've got a game picked out?
I do indeed, well, Brian.
Good, because you know what? I've been the host I think the last 3 days in a row. Because of all the mixing ups of the co-hosts and stuffs. All right, man.
Okie dokie.
Well, then I need everybody's help out there. Legendary. That's what everybody's... This is so good. You guys are on top of your shit. And if you're really on top of your shit, I'm going to need all the help I can get from you guys. I've got a big yes column and a big no column that I'm writing here in this notebook. And what's going to happen is we've got you guys out there and me over here. We've got 20 yes or no questions to ask Miles to figure out what PlayStation VR1 or PSVR2 game he's thinking of in only 6 minutes. The 6 minutes is the real killer here, I think. Let's do it, man. I'm going to put the clock up in the counter. Guys, please, I need all the help I can get. My brain is fucking fried today. I've been thinking about everything but video games. On your mark, get Des, go. Is this game on or has it been announced for PSVR 2?
Yes.
Okay.
1.
Was this game ever on PSVR 1?
Yes. 2.
Okay. So it's a cross-gen title. Is there any rhythm element in this?
Yeah. 3. Okay,
so as we're going to knock down the rhythm section here to, let's see, I'm thinking of Thumper, thinking of Rez, thinking of Tetris Effect, thinking of, wow, there's a lot of fucking rhythm games on PSVR 1 too. Pistol Whip. Okay, let's eliminate a couple of these. Do you do any shooting in this game?
No.
Okay, well that gets rid of Pistol Whip. That gets rid of Rez. Just looking in the chat here to make sure. Oh yeah, good call, Rye Pop. Good call. We have not eliminated SynthRiders. Can you play this game with a dual sense controller?
No.
Oh, well that eliminates Tetris
5
and Thumper. We might be down to SynthRiders. Is this game multiplayer?
Yeah, it has multiplayer. 6.
Did this game not have multiplayer last gen?
Yes.
Yes, it didn't.
Yes.
Yes, it didn't have multiplayer last gen.
Yes. That's 3 questions.
It's funny. I wonder if Beat Saber's still on the table here because I said, is this game on PSVR 2 or has it been announced for PSVR 2? That's a good point. It doesn't have to actually be out for PSVR 2. It's either SynthRiders or Beat Saber. Do you use lightsabers in this game?
I just guess for it. I just guess for it because like what could go wrong?
Yep. Do you use lightsabers in this game? Yep. Do you use lightsabers in this game?
No.
No. Is this SynthRiders?
It is SynthRiders, Brian. Well done. And Johnny Roy Pop the Stray Cat was the first one in the chat to get it. So well done to you as well, and well done for everyone who was guessing.
Nice.
I feel like it's a bit of an easy one, but yeah, that's all right.
Bit of an easy one. It's all right. At least I didn't have to pick it.
And it is the Sunday multiplayer. So get involved with that if you've got the game.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. It's free to join, and that is where Professor Lilith organizes all the multiplayer meetups. It's also where, like, you know, like if I'm doing a review for a game, like when I did Galaxy Kart review, these are Pavlov. This is where I was like, hey, everybody, I need everybody to jump in and play some multiplayer. So, like, I want to play with you guys. And then, like, yeah, not only that, but I'm going to capture footage and it's going to be forever in my review. So my apologies to everybody who gets forever stuck in my reviews. But also, if that sounds good to you, that's the place to make it happen. We have a tip. And it's from Josh Cat with a $20 tip. He says, the last worker continues to intrigue me. Have a great weekend, cats. Much love, Miles. And big hugs, Brian. Hashtag meow swipe game. It's funny. Can't really see it. You can kind of see it. Do you see what this is that I'm pointing to here, Miles?
No. I mean, what is it? Oh, it's is it a controller? No, it's not. It's a ghost. Is it a little ghost, mini ghost? It's
It's Tree Guy.
Tree Guy, that was it. I was trying to think of the name.
So Josh, he had an extra Accounting Plus Collector's Edition, and he mailed this to me, and obviously, it's not something we're going to bring back on the show or anything like that. That is 100% a Dave Station thing. But
yeah,
this is we've got to keep this up on the bookshelf, and it's always going to be in shot. We've got to have a little memorial to Dave, or at least a remembrance of Dave at all times here.
I love that.
So I've got my very own Tree Guy now, and there's only one person I think of when I see this thing. So it's a nice memory for sure. So thank you, Josh, for sending that along.
Nice one, Josh.
All right, you guys, it is time for the weekend. Hopefully everyone has big plans. Thank you guys so much for hanging out during this rougher than usual show, angrier than usual show. I guess I'll try to get my concise thoughts on The Last Worker finished by the morning, and then we can get that out the door. And I will be streaming Resident Evil Village soon, so stay tuned. A lot of good stuff happening over here. Miles, while I'm pimping without parole, what's happening over there on youtube.com/Miles? What's happening on your channel?
Well, I haven't actually thought what I'm going to stream this weekend on Sunday. I might do SynthRiders. That could be good fun. Hopefully they fixed all the issues with multiplayer, like that power up that was not supposed to be in the launch of the game because it breaks it and it's an instant fail. So yeah, SynthRiders could be it, and then I could live stream during the multiplayer meetup. That could be really, really great. Wednesday show was just the last Wednesday of the month, so it was just a Q&A. It was just a good hangout. Always appreciate seeing GameCats there. And in terms of other things, two tiny little things for gamers out there that might be thinking about these two things. One, I finally got a expansion for my PS5's hard drive. I bought an SSD. I bought the 980 Pro, which is Samsung, which came at around £170, so what's it, like $190, and that's with the heatsink. Got it from Amazon. Oh my goodness! I know that you've already actually no, you haven't installed yours yet, but you have bought one, right?
It's like sitting on my desk somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I always get nervous about pulling the panels off the PS5 and stuff. It was so easy to install, and having moved now all my games onto, like, from the PS5 to the expanded hard disk, I say hard drive, SSD. And then I also downloaded loads of games that I've always wanted to jump into, like Modern Warfare, Warzone, when other people are playing it. But I'm always like, I'm not leaving that 100 gigabyte game just on my disc.
Yeah.
Whereas now I just have it there. I have Fall Guys on there. I have Rocket League. I have like all the Jackbox party games, and I've not even hit a terabyte yet. It's ridiculous, and it's actually amazing how happier it's made me as a gamer, because I now truly feel I have a free choice on what games I want to play, because I'm no longer limited. As soon as I had it installed, I did it during a lunch break. I had like 40 games on download, and some of them were only a few hundred megabytes. Many of them were tens of gigabytes, and that was a really, really good investment. A lot of GameCats were actually recommending ones they got in the Discord, which is another reason why you should join Discord. If you have questions about the tech side, there's always someone else who's tried it or got some recommendations or can get you a link. That's really great. Second thing I did was I own the official PlayStation 3D Pulse headphones. And as many people will have seen through my live streams, I've been looking ridiculous because basically the foam was exposed after 2 years of wearing it. It didn't look great. And actually, I'll hold this up if it looks fine on camera. But yeah, that was how it looked.
Wow.
It was just, eventually it came out, it popped out completely. And it was just worn. So there are like new cups earpads that you can buy on Amazon, but they're like $30-$40. And so naturally I got in contact with PlayStation and I said, hey, I know I can buy third-party ones. Do PlayStation offer their own replacements? It's out of warranty. I'm happy to pay. And their answer was, no, sorry, we don't offer anything. That was literally answer. So it's like either I then go third-party and gamble, or, you just get a new $100 headset, which just seems like a complete waste. So I sent them a massive email saying, this is some feedback. You need to offer it. But I did get some from Amazon. And I'm tempted to say it's been a while since I had the brand new ones, but these have like the cooling gel underneath it. $30. These are more comfortable than I remember the headsets were when I first bought them. So there are some popular ones that are on Amazon. I would recommend them. So if any of you have those headsets and need replacement pads, that can be good too, because we should make them last.
Agreed. I think we get too used to everything just being disposable, right?
That's it. Yeah.
But okay. All right, man. Well, it's time to wrap shit up. It's time to get out of here.
I'm going to do what I did last week, Brian, because I had such a good time. 10 minutes after the stream ended, I fired up a Pavlov TTT lobby.
Oh, that's great.
Any game cats that want to tune in and just have a round of it with me, 10 minutes after this stream, just look out for Miles Dyer. It'll be American lobby, and TTT is the mode. It's always a good time. Love hanging out with you guys. So yeah, I'll be doing that after this.
American lobby, you say? I think we already know who the imposter really is. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We love all of you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who helps the channel run, including all the amazing moderators out there, Meow, who uploads this on podcast services of your choice. Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast and rates us over there. It means the world. I can't believe how successful it's been. Also, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who puts timestamps into the show after the fact. Thank you to everybody who supports the show financially, all the members over here, the patreon.com/withoutparole games supporters, people who tip during the show, people who help out, talk during the show in the chat, always keeping the conversation going, always super friendly. We love you all. Woke is not a bad word. Stop that. And everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We love you just as much. Let's get out of here, Miles.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Much love.
Bloomberg again. Oh God. I hope we never have to create another thumbnail that looks like this or that reads like this. Oh man. No, clip of the week. Do we have clip of the week?
We don't. I mean, I spoiled everyone with clips of the week last week. Honestly, and it just ends up just so much Pavlov, like priceless moments. I do need to find some clips from other games. Yeah. No, this week it's actually a photo pick of the week that was actually sent.
Does he know Rody. We're using this?
Yeah, I actually asked him when he sent it. I said, "Is it all right if I post it on my socials?" And that he was like, "Please do."
All right.
So this was while we were playing Demeo last week, and as we were playing on the stream, I kept hearing him going, "1 second, my cat is trying to fight the demons for us or the monsters." And then at the end, shared this photo, and I thought it's absolutely amazing. And what I love about it is the cat's arms are blurred from clearly the quick movement. Like, yeah.
Oh my God. This is the funniest fucking picture ever.
I love it so much. It's just so great. But it does make me a bit nervous because my best friend, I convinced him 4 years ago to get an OLED TV, get an upgrade for his PS5. He invested, and then he just got 2 new kittens. And I think it was 3 weeks later, he woke up one morning and the TV wouldn't turn on, and in the corner it was like chewed to like messed up. One of the kittens had completely ruined it, and oh my goodness, it just makes me so anxious about having kittens that don't understand the value of a TV, right? Or anything else. It's just something to hit. But I like that teamwork there. But yeah, huge shout out to Rhodey and Tiff, who were amazing team players, and my buddy Johnny. Definitely want to play some Demeo with you soon, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
love Demeo. Love Demeo, and maybe my cat will play along too. I don't know. It's funny. I've sort of given up on caring what Tornado does around here. Like, she wants to destroy something. Like, go for it. Like, you live here too.
Right.
That's fair, right?
That's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. All right, man. Let's get out of here. Thanks for the submission, Rhodey. That was a great picture. Love the cat. And thank you, Myles. You have an excellent weekend. And everybody enjoy Pavlov. Get over there on Discord and get in there with them. Love you guys. Good night.
Peace.